So this is just a quick check-in live. Don't expect a lot of people to be on here, but you can watch the recap on here. So I just finished watching Vice President Kamala Harris, when she was live in Pittsburgh talking in terms of, the last pitch to voters in swing states such as Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, Wisconsin, Arizona, you name it, and North Carolina to get out the vote, because there are the battleground states. And we could put Florida into play because Florida is in play. And now I believe Iowa is in play too. So all of these states, they are in play for the election. And honestly, to tell you the truth, as a person who is a true Kamala Harris supporter, that's part of the K-Hive, and I know people like, well, they're toxic. Like, not that many toxic people. Some of our messages do come across different, and some come across in a positive approach, and some just come across as a raw, hard-hitting approach. In terms of coalition building, most of us have explained that Kamala Harris is a coalition builder. She's a legit coalition builder. I always believed in her since day one. And when she dropped out December 3rd, 2019, I remember the exact date because I remember I was at my temporary job at the time when I worked in development. I was sad. I was sad for like a week. I was pissed. I was angry. I was so sad because I actually believed in her campaign. She was the only one out of most of the candidates that was making sense and that spoke to policies that was very intersectional and that spoke to everybody. So when she dropped out, I did not get behind anybody. And I voted in the primaries in 2020 by the time April hit, because the only candidate that was in the race at that time was Joe Biden. So I voted for him. But I always knew that he was going to pick her for vice president. People was like, oh, they were fighting for it. But I always knew it because she was on everybody's short list. And when she dropped out, she was the talked about candidate that was promising, but also was going to be on somebody's ticket if she does not get the nomination. So I knew that since day one. And I was right. So, and then she became the vice president, propelled Joe Biden to victory back in 2020. Now, 4 years later, around this time, I did my early voting last week, Tuesday. And I believe in her ticket. Even though Tim Walz was not my first choice as her vice presidential pick, it was somebody else. I'm glad he's her fit for her because they are yoked together. They believe in the same thing. They ideologically are on the same level and believe in the same thing. So I'm very, very excited about this ticket, and I'm very hopeful. I know we're not going to get no results tomorrow because people are just like, we're going to get results tomorrow. It's like, we're not going to get results tomorrow. However, she's going to win. It's going to take some time counting ballots because you got to count the early ballots, and then you have to count the absentee ballots, and in some states count by hand. Others count other ways for the others have other ways to count ballots. So I'm excited. And just to keep it going, as a person who supported her, I always knew that she was going to propel at this point. I didn't know it was going to be this soon, but I knew she was going to be our next nation's leader after Joe Biden. I always knew it. I knew that she was able to run a good campaign. I always knew that she was meant for this moment. And she's going to be a good president. The policies that she have, the opportunity economy, and then her healthcare plan to make sure people don't have to quit their jobs to take care of their loved ones. Because that's a tough thing. And I know people that had to do that personally, that I know, that had to cater to someone to take care of somebody because they couldn't take care of themselves. And getting home care for 24 hours, it's a lot of money. And we see that divide on policy. And there are, in terms of coalition building, I want to speak to this. Vice President Kamala Harris is a coalition builder. Her first presidential run had people from all different ideological spectrums. You have progressives, moderates, independents, conservatives, centrists, all supporting this candidate because this candidate spoke to intersectionality. She spoke to unity, and she was Kamala Harris for the people. That was her campaign. And even though this is a little different, because it's no slogan for the people, it's freedom, and we're not going back, it still reminds you Kamala Harris for the people, because the theme is, I want freedom and justice and equal rights and an opportunity economy for the people. She said, my work is a to-do list for the people of this country. And she spoke to not just only to her supporters and Democrats, but people from the other side of the aisle that was once Reagan conservatives and still are Reagan conservatives, but they put in their country before party. And that's what this campaign is about. And that's why I'm excited and I'm happy. I might have some tears, might be a little drunk, might be excited, but I know this moment is meant for her. And there's some people I know in my personal life, that are not in agreement with her, but they realize that she's running the most amazing campaign. And to be honest, she's one of the most effective vice presidents of all time, next to Joe Biden and Quincy Adams, to be honest. So this here is one of the best moments. And I'm thankful for the people that I built a community with online. Whether some of them are, there was interpersonal fighting. But at the end of the day, most of us, all of us had a common goal. And our common goal was to make sure to stick by Vice President Kamala Harris, to not just only to protect her, but to showcase her in a light where she's appealing to all Americans. And I'm excited that I was part of that journey with folks. I'm not going to call any names because I don't want to, ruffle people's feathers, but I'm very excited that I was part of this journey with most of these folks for the last 4 to 5 years. This is the moment. And there's still more work to do right after the election, during the administration, even her re-election campaign. There's still more work to be done. So we're not going back, folks. The moment tomorrow and onward, we're not going back. We're not going back. We're going ahead, and we're turning the page on bigotry, darkness, and addressing our racial past. We're not going back. So until then, thank you and be safe. And good luck for tomorrow, because we got this.